I was when I was discussing with Jenda what to talk about, he asked me just share something about the concept of the 10x or 100x or even more x engineers, how to hire them, motivate them, and retain. So I really enjoy this topic because I could go back in my memory and remember all the experiences I was very fortunate to live. So today I'm going to share with you what I experienced myself and what I observed from some of the companies I had the pleasure to work with in the last few years, and what were some of the best practices. And I am using pictures. It's not the commercials for the Jelinkova Slivovice today, but this is my desk at SpaceX where I had this Slivovice there. There will be a story with the Slivovice later, so this is where it started. But really, let's think about what does the 10x or 100x or even more x engineers means. In every company I worked for, there were some concept of at Netflix we had stunning colleagues, amazing colleagues that you love working with, and they are doing amazing job. Actually, when Netflix was going through the first layoffs, they were going around all the managers and asking them, would you be okay if you reduce your team by 20, 30%? And they said, if I can keep the best people I have on my team, I would be happy to, because we would be actually more productive. So this mantra of more productive colleagues when they are pressed and they are given the context, not the control, existed even many years ago before I joined Netflix. At SpaceX, we had this concept of the Kick-Ass Award. Anybody who made an extra impact, who contribute extra to the SpaceX success, received a Kick-Ass Award. And of course, along it came a nice portion of the SpaceX stocks. At Shipmonk, my more recent company, we had this concept of ownership and the owners. And we are always saying, this dude, he's really cool owner. He just delivers and delivers and delivers. And we love this concept of the ownership because you own the success of the delivery. So if I kind of generalize it, you can come up with any other names of highly impactful team members that it's your pleasure to work with. But what I would leave with you, what you should think about is, what does the 10x, 100x, 1000x means for you or your own owners or stunning colleagues? What does it mean for you, for your companies? I'm sure every single company would have it a little bit differently, but think about it. Who are these colleagues? What are their characteristic qualities? And let's talk about how you can get them, how you can motivate them and retain them. Couple of my moments, so how they hired me from these companies. I have particular experiences about these two experiences. My probably most impactful experience on myself was when I literally received this email, if I want to help put a person on Mars. And of course I thought they are joking, and they were not joking. That was really cool. And when I received my hello from Netflix, they actually talk about the thing, do you want to help us to bring down our systems? Do you want to run the chaos engineering? And again, I was thinking, who would on earth hire a person that would whose job would be bringing down the system? So it's really not about what was in the email, but again, it was something that was really big, really bold. It was very clear vision what they want to achieve with my role, with my hire. And they actually had a way for me to contribute, and that was really important. I could see the vision, and I could see also the path how to get there. So that was something that really convinced me. Motivation highlights. If I talk about motivation, what motivated me today, almost in 20 years of my career, only one, it was always the product or the project along with the people that I was able to deliver and significantly contributed to the company's success. At Microsoft, I was really early in my career. I was about 27 years old, and Bill Gates used to have this Think Week. He kind of get himself into the cabin by the ocean, and he was reading the submissions from his employees, and anybody could really contribute. It was, at that time, was 90,000 people. I don't know how many people contribute, but I wrote a paper on the crowd-enabled machine translation. Actually, I said it out loud. It sounds so funny today in the AI world. But yeah, we were trying to leverage crowdsourced machine translation. And he read it. He responded to my idea. And I felt so great. I believe my wife still remembers the day when I got home and I had printed email from Bill Gates that he actually responded to my idea. So that was my motivation to keep working at Microsoft. At Netflix, one of the projects I was running, at Netflix we built our own monitoring system or observability system. And of course, anybody widely adopted it because they thought it's for free, etc. And suddenly it was the biggest single spend in our AWS deployment. And I wrote a tool or ran the project how to reduce the number of metrics and perform the metrics analysis. And we really reduced the metrics by 30%. And fun fact, the finding was that Netflix at the time, they were recording more than, I believe, I have the numbers right, 3 billion metrics a minute. And only 5% of those metrics were queried at least once in the last 3 months. So it was really a terrible number. I like that Uri is looking at me. I'm trying to get a job eventually at BetterStack. I told him before. So metrics, I did it before. And at SpaceX, the moment that really motivated me to stay there, and I really felt proud of myself, and I wanted to keep on going, even though I spent weekends and nights at work. It was the software certification of autonomous flight termination system. If the rocket is flying out of the correct trajectory and eventually it can hit the city or people on the boat or something, it will blow up the rocket so it would safely fall into ocean or something like that. And I was part of the core team. We delivered the project, and the first inaugural flight, it flew, it landed, everything was correct, and here comes the story with the Slivovitz. We celebrated with Slivovitz. The Mr. Bird in the back, he said that the Slivovitz is a good shit, so we made a good name to Slivovitz that time as well. But again, we actually proved to SpaceX, to Elon, to Air Force that we can fly autonomous flight termination system. Before that, it was always controlled. The rocket was monitored by radars, where it's flying, where is the trajectory. And we demonstrated, we proved in test, we certified with the Air Force, FAA, and NASA that it can do this termination work autonomously. So really, really happy with, I believe I would call it a project of my lifetime. So those are my motivation moments, and it was always the product or the project. But let's dive into, I said, recruiting, motivation, and retaining people. I'm sorry for the picture here. I only found this relevant to recruiting. But what I learned, I would say early in my career, that hiring ownership is actually owned by the hiring manager. When I came back to Czech and more, or even in US when I was more like corporate companies like Microsoft, people thought that there is some recruiting team, there is some other team that can help you bring the best people. It's up to you. It's always up to you. If you are a small company, if you are a startup, it's up to the founder. If you are a scale-up or bigger company, it's up to the hiring manager. You can use the help, of course, of recruiting teams or human resources teams or community teams or whatever, but you are responsible for your hiring. What we used to say at Netflix is that the manager has only 2 jobs: get the best people to work with and get away all the obstacles the team have, so that can be productive and you can actually get the maximum of your stunning colleagues. Hiring experience always have to be a great one. Try to always do something extra. When they tried to recruit me for the first time, and I failed, to SpaceX, they actually invited me. They invited also my wife to come down to LA from Silicon Valley, because not only they wanted to interview me, they also wanted to demonstrate that it's really cool to live in LA. They invited me for the interview. They invited my wife for the walkthrough in SpaceX. After the interview, they invited us with my peers for a dinner. And when we were leaving the dinner, they actually handed me, hey, and here are 2 movie tickets if you want to enjoy some LA time. So it was really amazing. And we got home. My wife told me that if I don't get this job, I'm really screwed because she wants to live in LA. And of course, on Monday they called me, you didn't get the job. We have a better candidate. So I got it for on the second try there. But my point is, if you really want to recruit the best colleagues, you have to do something extra. You have to go out of your way. Once in my career, I was so lucky that at Shipmonk, there was this amazing PHP engineer from the NetApp forum. He was like one of the top rating there. And he showed up on the ad on this job portal. And he said, okay, I just want to work here. You have all the great people. So it was easy. It's not always like that. So I would always suggest to do something extra. What was also working very well is what I call the paid trial, that you will invite your candidates into your office or remotely to your teams, and you work together on a project. I recently listened to some Stripe podcast from their CTO, and they are doing actually the same. They are not doing the kind of coding interview that they are trying to break you. They are trying to collaborate with you to figure out a better solution. They are testing how you would fit together. I guess it will give you really great insight. And as I told all our candidates, it's not our chance to consider you as the candidate. It's your chance as the candidate to look at us, how we work, how our code repository is organized, what are our processes, so you can really make a good decision if you want to join us or not. At Amazon, who knows bar raisers? I hope everybody's, no? Okay, we have 1, 2, perfect. Bar raisers is a concept that tries to eliminate your bias, because if you are desperate at your team, I need to hire 20 more people because we have so many projects. We recently got funding. We need to run faster. You are often biased to make the hiring decision as soon as possible. And the bar raisers that Amazons were introduced, those are people from outside of your teams. They were very senior. They were very professional or proficient in hiring. And the hiring manager and the bar raiser had to agree on the hire. And a couple of times I was in the meetings when the bar raiser said no, the hiring manager yes, and they were like, okay, you want to fight over this? And they were literally fighting, that they had to argue and argue for the candidate. So it's really a good idea if you are a little bit bigger company, always try to bring your bar raisers to eliminate your bias. Figure out where your top engineers are. You need to know what people that have the right talents for your team, where they are working, what hobbies they have, what kind of domains they love to explore, what community events they are going to, etc. And it was really working for us. It was working for us at Netflix when Netflix started attending various conferences, reInvent. I believe at one point they had more than 50 sessions delivered by Netflix engineers. At SpaceX regularly participated on the various college shows to recruit university graduates, and also there was like a conferences for game developers. So go there where you can find the talent, and you have to be present there. And of course, attracting the top talent. What I learned, it's a combination always of the people, product, and the company. Company equals to its mission. And the compensation is usually the second priority, but you need to kind of excite them with the mission, with the product, and the people they are going to work with. Moving on, motivation. So on this picture, you can see what motivated me to come to work every day. You park your car and then you walk to SpaceX, and there is actually parked rocket. This is the rocket ready to be shipped to the launch area. And even though at SpaceX we didn't have a nice offices, it was like an all industrial building. We had good coffee, no catering, etc. It does not. These benefits were missing, but we were okay because we could work on pretty much the most amazing product. So you don't need to think if there is the kind of hierarchy of needs. I would say I would always put the product, the company, the people at the top, and then everything else, because many people, especially the top ones, will work for you only for this. They can skip all the benefits. Motivation does not equal salary, benefits, or work-life balance, because again, same thing what I mentioned before. But if you focus on purpose, mission, what you are creating, if you can articulate to the people what are you working on, what kind of impact your product will have on other developers, on people's life, on humanity. Those are the arguments that can really motivate significantly the top talent. People, I mentioned it a couple of times. I actually saw in some companies that the teams were traveling together from one company to another. So basically, if you attract one person and if they decide to go, they would go as the whole team. And it was really amazing. I saw one team that was starting at Netflix, then moved to Apple, and they were at Google, always together, always working on the similar products. And to wrap it up, there is really simple concept you can actually explore this during the interview. I'm actually asking people, what is motivating you to work for our company? What is your motivation to be there? And it's perfectly fair if they answer salary, benefits, product, people, anything else. What's really important is it has to align something with your motivation, why you need those people, why you need to bring them together. Because if somebody wants like a 9-to-5 job, which is perfectly fine if you have a family, if you want to spend time outside the work, it's probably the different motivation what a company like SpaceX may need from you. And retaining. I know that probably if you are in the HR or working with your HR business partners, you often discuss things like engagement surveys, etc. And for me, the engagement is really not about like the, I don't know, 50 questions long questionnaire. It's really about being engaged with the company mission. Can I tell that this person is really engaged with getting people to Mars or entertaining people via streaming or something else? But this is really important. One thing that surprised me in the engagement survey, it was early in SpaceX days, and now I believe it's common, is actually they are asking, do you have a best friend at work? How many people have best friend at work? I'm just curious, let's do a little engagement. Okay. Not surprised, not surprised. Okay, perfect. Not that many. I found it out, but this is my best friend from SpaceX. When I got this engagement survey, I actually took the phone. Hey, Eric, are you my best friend? I was like, yeah, sure, I'm okay. So I answered correctly. And it really changes the world. I would not kind of make an argument that if you don't have a best friend at work, that you are less engaged, but it's definitely a good thing. What happens if the company mission changes? It can have a significant impact on the motivation of your people, on the engagement. You should validate if the people still align with your mission. Changing the mission, I mean, you are pivoting your companies, it's perfectly fine, but make sure you are considering your team. Don't assume that the same team wants to work on the new things. I experienced it myself a couple of times in my career. Sometimes it just doesn't work and people leave and both parties are frustrated. Third point, how to retain people. I experience it in almost every single startup if we include SpaceX as the biggest hardware startup. When I joined, and I used to be later in the years, usually the older one, there is basically like no benefits, as I mentioned, there is no work-life balance, and it's hard to combine your life, like if you are married, have 3 kids, etc., with the work. But the longer I stayed there, I saw the transition of the people that also the early members of the teams are growing up. They had families, they had kids, and when I was leaving SpaceX, when I joined, there was nothing. When I was leaving, we had kindergarten, we had supported schools, we had daycare if it was needed. So companies are changing, and my advice to you, especially if you are building the startup or if you are running a company for more than, let's say, 5 years, think about it. Did anything change in the life of your colleagues, of your team members? Any, as they call it in English, the life-changing events? Because it's really important to adjust your environment for it if you want to keep them, if they are still strong contributors. So let's figure out how they don't have to decide between the job and their life. Understanding whom and when to promote, it's very common. So quite often, again, in almost every company, that really skilled engineers were promoted into managerial roles, and they were struggling because they didn't want to deal with people's issues. I saw only once in my life when a person who was really strong engineer was promoted into managing a team of 20, and after 2 months he came to the director and said, I want to step back because this is not working for me. So if you want to give it a try, give it a shot, but don't be afraid to ask with them, hey, do you want to be kind of, not demoted, but do you want to go back to the individual path? Because it's so important that you keep these doors open and do not insist that your smartest people will be the best managers. Keeping people passionate about the project. Sometimes I call myself the best known Czech fluctuant, I would say, because I had so many companies. But it's not that I want to kind of leave all the companies and skip them. I just love working on the projects. And when the project is done and there is no other project in front of me in the company that I would be passionate about, I am easily attracted to another company. And for me, it's just my subjective opinion, staying with one company for your career, I guess it's a thing of the past. Always think about it like if you are an employer or if you are an employee, think about it. Do I need these people on my new projects? Do they have the right skills for what we want to build in the future? And you as an employee, think about it like, okay, I just delivered this project. What is the next big thing for me in life? And is it available in this company or not? Because again, if you keep people passionate that are impacting and delivering, that's the best retainment. And what's often forgotten, and I saw it only in one company in my career, the stock refreshers. Because for startups and these fast-growing companies, stocks are probably the most important component or attraction, at least in US, what I saw, for a component of compensation for what I saw. And some companies, they just want to squeeze you. After 4 years, you can go. There was really poor concept of the stock refresher. So you need to keep them motivated. You need to keep them participating on the success of the company moving forward. So don't forget about that, because the salary increase doesn't help always. So those would be my tips from me. This was the last slide before I say the thank you. I would just suggest one resource I started to listening to. This is Patty McCord and Jessica Neal. Patty McCord, she is the famous author of Netflix Culture Deck. She actually developed this kind of culture and the whole concept of it with Reed Hastings at Netflix. And in this podcast, they are talking about it, what was working, what wasn't working. They are inviting various guests. They are very radical, very open with their ideas. So if you want to listen, get some ideas, totally can recommend it. There are just few episodes out. So thank you so much. And if there are any questions, I will be around. So looking forward to chatting with you. Thank you.